This is Elvira, and you're listening to the Timo and Carly Show.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hooper drives a boat, Chief Harley. How the hell are you?
That's right. Good, Timo. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad.
That's a good one there.
Thank you. Let's see. If anybody's noticing like strange sounds, if you're a regular listener to the show, and you're like, where's Timo? Yeah. Is Timo like finally just completely like a cave dweller? Has he just completely detached himself from society? No, I am actually moving the stuff around because, we are moving out to Dermal Ridge. And so I'm kind of having to move my house around. So my studio setup is not in a nice little tight, airtight, proper studio anymore. It is in a normal, big, like rec room. And if you can hear the echo around me, now you know why people need studios.
Yeah. I thought you were in a Fallout shelter or something.
It kind of is, actually. But, so I get that, and I'm on a different microphone, so it might sound a little bit different. I don't know if nobody really cares, but if you do care, I'm looking at Mr. Sir Ian Baird's direction. He'll probably yell at me. But, so this is, a lot of things are going to be temporary for the next few months, but the show will go on, Ben Harley. The show
must go on.
That's right. That's right. So I had, Ben Harley, this past weekend, I had one hell of a massive punk rock weekend, okay? But
you did.
Before I get into that, I thought I was the only guy to have a punk rock weekend. Apparently,
no, sir.
You had a punk rock weekend too. I would like you to tell me about your punk rock weekend because I'm a little bit upset that you're stealing my thunder on the punk rock weekend. This was my week to talk about a punk rock weekend. Like, damn it. Go ahead.
Yes, Timo. Actually, I had a punk rock Saturday. So you got me beat on, you had a punk rock weekend.
Well, I had a Saturday and a Sunday. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. So, Timo, I got to go see Michael Graves. He was here in town on Saturday. Yeah. So which was good. I called a buddy of mine, John Stainbrook from here in town.
I know that name.
Who happens to have, So he actually got on the guest list, which was nice. So even the guy at the door was impressed when I came in. So
just with your handsomeness or the fact you're on the list?
No. The fact that I got on the Stainbrook list. Yes.
All right. Nice.
But so that was nice. So that saved me a little bit of money. Maybe I should have spent that because then I drank a little bit too much.
What?
But yes. Oh, a little bit too much.
You don't drink?
Yeah. No, I really don't actually. But maybe that's why. So got to go down there and see. Actually, I caught the tail end of one band. They were pretty good. I couldn't remember the name of the band, but what was funny is I think it was only like their second or show maybe, but I don't even think the guitar player knew the name of the band. So either, because some guy from off stage was yelling, "What's the name of the band?" He's kind of like, yelling. The guy's like, so anyways, but they were good, the little trio band. And then, actually a guy I went to high school with, his name's Rob Borer. Borer, and his band's called Full Bore, which I think is pretty funny. And so they did some old punk rock standards, some Black Flag and stuff like that. They didn't play too long, but then Michael Graves, he was good. It's the first time I've seen him on his own. I saw him once with the Misfits, and I happen to be a big Michael Graves Misfits fan too. I think it's good stuff. I mean, he's a good singer too, and Timo, when you're singing about punk, or you're doing punk rock songs, and you're singing about Die Monster Die, and let's see what else, Crimson Ghost, and some cool stuff like that, and they even did a song about them, for Christ's sake, Timo.
No kidding.
I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I am in. If you're mixing the punk rock, and especially the old horror movies, I'm in for sure.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I like that stuff. So I think he did about half Misfits stuff that he was, the albums that he was on, and then the other half were his own songs.
Uh-huh.
But good time, Timo. It was a good punk rock time. I almost got knocked over once.
Oh,
but I saved my beer.
That was in the men's room, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was in the parking lot after the show. So, but yeah, it's in a shady part of town. Let me tell you.
Lots of trees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Michael Graves. It was a lot of fun, and then also what was nice. There's been a lot of bands that went on to do pretty big things. That's played at Frankie's. And Frankie's is a small little club. Yeah. But it was funny. They had this wall of fame, of all the bands that have played there. They got all the, not everybody, but quite a few handbills, but mostly, posters. But right. So I was walking down and I happened to see a little handbill that I designed for one Dead Dick Hammer that got put into the wall of fame. So I was excited about that. Yeah. I thought, well, I know that guy, and then, hey, wait, I know who did that.
Yeah, both those guys.
So I made it. So Timo, I'm continuing my Wall of Fame tour right now.
Nice, nice.
I think I'm gonna have to start signing my name, Ben Harley, HOF 17, like Hall of Fame. But then
it's a big Hall of Fame year for
Wall
you.
of Fame.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, I'm making it. I made it on the wall and in the hall. So
nice.
Good stuff, Timo. It was a really good punk rock evening. I really needed it. Just like how people absorb the sun, like how Ultraman, absorbs the sun and gets more powerful. Ben Harley gets more powerful when he goes to see punk rock or live music like that. So I do. I'm not kidding you. It made me feel good. But like I said, I got a little drunk with my buddy Rob Borer from Full Bore. And so it was a good evening, though.
Well, I heard you talk to Michael Graves, didn't you? Didn't you tell me you just watched one of his movies?
Yes, actually. Yeah, so he had a pretty big line, of people wanting to talk to him. So I waited around a little bit, and that was my problem. That's probably why I got a little bit more drunk there. And then I proceeded to go over there and say, yeah, we just reviewed Perkins 13. And the movie's called Perkins 14, right, Tim?
Yeah, so,
but no, he was really nice about it. I told him that we do a little podcast, not a little one, a huge one.
Right,
so.
Massive.
Yes, and yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, he was really, he thought that was kind of funny and stuff. So yeah, but nice guy. Good show. A lot of fun, Timo. So what about your punk rock weekend?
Oh boy. Well, after the big weekend, the big Descendants weekend, you can imagine Timo here was fit to be tied to play a punk rock show. Get a little aggression out. So we had an Ultraman weekend with
Tim Jameson ones too, right?
Oh yeah. He was. I could tell he was ready.
So was the other Tim.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, both Tims are ready to Tim out. I'm telling you right now.
I bet.
Yeah, we called it Tim out and was like, all right, let's do this. Yeah. We actually went to Lawrence, Kansas and played at the Bottleneck. Now, to start this off, what happened was there used to be a club in Lawrence, outside of Lawrence, called the Outhouse. Sure. And basically with the Outhouse, I never played there, personally. I knew about the place. Yeah. All my friends played there. It just never happened. We just never hit that. And it closed in like 93. And we were starting to really tour closer to that time. So it just died right before we would have been probably hitting it. And the best way to explain it is if you could abandon a car wash and then allow a nuclear strike to hit it, that's probably about the way the place looked. It was literally a concrete building with a stage. That's it. And there was a bench along the wall. That was it. There's no bar. Nothing. You went in a parking lot to go to the bar. You went to your car bar, basically. Yeah. And it was a legendary legendary club. So they did a documentary about it. And Tim Jameson from Ultraman was one of the guys being interviewed in the documentary because according to the people at the outhouse, Ultraman played there more than anybody. So basically, Tim is up there and, so they did a documentary and they had the premiere at Liberty Hall, which is a big theater in Lawrence, Kansas. Actually, Ben Harley, Liberty Hall is where we played Ultraman for Social Chaos Tour. I gave you that set list, or I gave you the set times. Yeah. The set times, all those bands. Yeah. That was a Liberty Hall. So they played the documentary there, sold out. So Tim's up there with the likes of Ice-T, because Body Count played there, with the likes of the Fugazi. Let's see here. Your buddy Dave Brockie, rest in peace, was up on there. As a matter of fact, we were texting back and forth from the Michael Graves show while you were there, and Michael and Dave Brockie came right up on the screen right when you were texting me. I was like, "Hey, Dave Brockie's looking at me," which is weird and creepy, but So we actually only walked.
Doppelganger.
Yeah, we only walked over there for a couple minutes. Me and the bass player and. I'd say hi to Justin. His nickname is Pookie, and he filled in on bass for us. Yeah, our bass player Ryan was down in Nashville, down in Bob Slendoran territory. I think at a wedding or something like that. So anyway, he filled in wonderfully. This was great. So we went back and we played this weekend with Toxic Reasons, who now reside in Indianapolis, and they are a early '80s punk band that. Like them all, this went out, and I believe they started out in Dayton. Now I've asked Joel Robinson, I've asked you, I've asked a lot of people. You guys know who these guys are, because it's like I know the name, but I never really heard them, and everybody's like, no, not really. So I put up a little post, and all of a sudden, David from Earn, Lydia Burris, Dave. I always get his I mispronounce his last name. I don't want to be a dick. It's like Alisuck or something like that. His last name is. I know it. If I see it, I don't pronounce it in my brain piece. I need to start doing that. So I got it. He actually is friends with them. So he said, "Hey, I know those guys. They're friends of mine. They're a great band." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I asked the wrong person, apparently. I need to ask the real musician if they know these people, not you turds, not you posers, right? Yeah. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
They were actually very, very good. And I proceeded to what happened. There was one little snafu with the movie. Okay. Apparently there was a Blu-ray disc that would not play. Right? Well, the Blu-ray wouldn't play. I'm going to give you the sanitized version of this because this is what the official line is for what happened. So that's what I'm going to give out. Okay. So apparently the Blu-ray wouldn't play and they had to pipe in the big theater into someone's laptop. Okay. And what I heard, I won't sanitize it. What I heard is that the person was so disheveled, they forgot their own password into their computer and couldn't. And they were on one more before they got locked out of their own computer. So it was real tense. It was like a movie. Wow. Really tense. Well, I found out that the movie was running late by an hour and a half. I find this out in about 4 glasses of wine in at the Bottleneck because we were playing the after party after this movie at the Bottleneck with Toxic Reasons, which was also sold out already, which is nice. It's nice to go out of town and pull up to a sold out show already.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I thought that I better quit. I better stop drinking the wine because I got to wait a little longer to play, and thought it was a good idea to start drinking our complimentary cans of Schlitz. I didn't even know they still made Schlitz.
That's never a good idea. Yeah.
I'm just going to tell everybody out there, I did it for you. You don't have to prove it. A good mix to an evening is not red wine and Schlitz. It's not.
No.
It's not. All I can tell you is, first of all, the shows went great. And then we played at the Food Bar Sunday night too. Yeah. Both shows went great. Rob Wagner showed up to the Sunday night show and actually sang Egg Boy with us. He came up and sang a song, which helped me out a lot because it's hard to do backing vocals in that song. So I was like, hey, you'd be doing me a favor if you got up and do it. It's your stupid song. You wrote it, which actually is my favorite Ultraman song. Actually, on Saturday night, Steve Tulipana from Season to Risk and Roman Numerals, who owns the record bar, He came out.
Yeah.
He came out to see everything,
Nice.
so I got to see him. So that was kind of nice. But the shows went fantastic. They were great. Actually, performance-wise, we all felt really good about them. So good times.
That's great, though, Tim.
Yeah.
2 different bands and 2 different nights. Huh?
Yeah. Well, Fragile Porcelain Mice is playing, by the time you hear this, it'll probably be like this weekend by the time it's October 28th.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Illinois with Annihilate. And now here's a holy shit moment. So I'm standing outside the Bottleneck, all right, this past weekend.
Yeah.
And these guys are talking to our drummer, Gabe. And he says, he's like, well, we're not playing in St. Louis, but we're playing in Springfield with Fragile Porcelain Mice, Annihilate. And our drummer just looks at me and just points at me. I was like, yeah, I'm in Fragile Porcelain Mice. Oh, yeah, I'm in Parasites. We're playing first that night. I'm like, you're like 9 hours away from where we're playing. I'm not even in the same band right now. How the hell do I run into you here? They played an early show. There was an early show that stopped like at 6. And they played at it. I guess it was a tour thing, so they could at least have a gig.
Yeah.
So they had a tour thing. That was weird. That doesn't happen very often. Talk about a coinky dink.
No.
Yikes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so they were nice guys. I enjoyed talking to them. I didn't see them because we pulled up when they were done. So I didn't really see them, but so I will see them here in a week or so. I was at Parasites. Yeah, it was interesting. So anyway, I've been real busy, Ben Harley. We've been getting floors put in the house. I've been moving things around to this cave here. I'm recording in right now. I only watched a couple things. We run through them really quick here, and then you can run through whatever the heck you might have been able to put your eyepieces on. Let's see here. On Amazon Prime, I watched a movie that I hadn't seen since the 90s. Okay, when it came out on VHS, I believe it. It was kind of a not made for, but almost direct to video movie called The Maddening, starring Burt Reynolds, Angie Dickinson, Mia Sara, and William Hickey in it. Directed by Danny Huston, who was John Huston's son, and that's Angelica Huston's half brother. Just like Walter's grandson, and you've seen him in movies. I think he was the main bad guy in 30 Days a Night. He's also an actor. He's in a ton of stuff. You've seen him. If you know him, you know Danny Huston. You've seen him. This is a movie where Burt Reynolds basically plays the head of a crazy family living out in the country. So it's his version of Texas Chainsaw. Way more psychological than that. It's more of a kidnapping for no reason type movie, gothic type thing. Just to see, reason. Just to see Burt Reynolds do this. That's the reason to watch it. Definitely the reason to watch it. Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. I've heard of this movie, but I don't think I've ever seen it. No. Is it worth seeing or what?
It's worth getting Amazon Prime for, but I'm not going to bark up that tree too many more times. But it's worth looking at if you're a Burt Reynolds fan. If you're a Burt Reynolds fan. I mean, if you're kind of a Burt Reynolds fan and you're curious about it. One thing that really stood out to me, Angie Dickinson looks smoking hot in this. And I mean, this is in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So this was like 15 years after Dressed to Kill, which I thought she looked a little old in, actually.
Yeah.
But it appeared that she had gained a couple pounds and filled out a little bit. My personal taste is, I think when a woman who is the gender I'm attracted to, I'm not picking you, I'm picking on you. I find it more attractive when an older woman has maybe 5 more pounds on her than she did before, because I think it makes them look younger and cuter, or just more attractive. I don't know. I like it. And she had this going on. So I was actually looking at her more than Mia Sara, who was the girlfriend from Ferris Bueller. That's Mia Sara. So I was looking at Angie Dickinson at about 65 years old or 60 years old more than I was looking at Mia Sara. So, but Ben Harley, I'm eccentric. So, who knows?
Right.
Yeah. It was like, okay. I did watch another thing on Amazon. It was a little, not even a documentary. It's basically a camera point and shoot. Little conversation with Betsy Palmer. And
really?
It was called Scream Queen Betsy Palmer. That's what it's called. And it literally is like a guy that produced or directed a film that she did some voiceover work from. She became friends with the guy and his family. and he found talking to her. It would be kind of like our relationship with Danny Hicks. And if we decided one time just to put a camera up and let him start telling Hollywood stories. Now, the difference is that Betsy Palmer was born in 1924. So she has some classic Hollywood stories, like with Jackie Gleason and things like that. So he basically just set the camera up and let her go. And she's making mistakes, like getting names wrong of people that were in classic movies and stuff. He just let her roll. He just let her free think and go. And I'm not criticizing that. I'm saying that he didn't edit. Like he didn't edit. He edited. He even said in the very beginning, they had like this little scroll come up and said, look, I just had this conversation. I thought it just for historical sake, I should just record like a half cockeyed kind of like interview type thing and just kind of put it out, let people listen to it and stuff. What's interesting is like she talks a lot about old Hollywood and things, and I think it'd be more interesting to be sitting there with her to listen to it. But what is cool is she does talk a little bit about Friday the 13th and how it came to her. And I don't think she really wanted to play in a horror movie. It wasn't like her thing or something like that. But they offered her the part for Friday the 13th. Okay. And she basically was not really wanting to do it. Okay. But she had this crappy old car. Okay. And they offered her $10,000 to do it. And the car she wanted, the new car she wanted just happened to be $10,000. So she said, well, send me the script. And her, more or less, her quote was she read it and thought it was, quote, a piece of shit. So apparently what she said is, but she started thinking about it and she thought, nobody's going to see this. Nobody's going to see this thing. Some little horror film, some little independent horror film. She's like, and I got to work for like 10 days. It's 10 grand or something like that. And she only came in at the very end to shoot it. She didn't know what was going on. Yeah. She didn't know anything else. She just came in to shoot her scenes, and that was it. You know, basically, you can imagine how confused that poor woman was just shooting her scenes. So she got her car, okay, but the thing is that what happened was she said that when she was doing the character, she came up with a whole backstory for Mrs. Voorhees, because apparently in the script they had that she had like a Letterman's, like a senior ring, high school ring on her finger. Okay. And so she made this whole story about how she was in high school, had a high school sweetheart who was a captain of the football team. She got pregnant, had to go to a halfway house for girls or unwed mothers, had the child. The child was sick. So through the Salvation Army or something, she got a job at this summer camp to make ends meet. And so her kid could be with other normal children, which made a lot of sense. Yeah. And so she made this whole thing up, and then she said she was sitting in makeup. The first day she got there, Savini was given the head cast thing or doing so he can make the head that they chop off or whatever. And and he was showing her some of the stuff that he'd been doing. And Jason Voorhees, the little kid, the picture pops up. And she's like, what is that? Well, that's your son. What's wrong with him? Well, he's a Mongoloid. And she went, what? That's not in the script? You know, she went crazy over it and stuff like that. But she said what bothered her was that it changed. It started to change what she had come up with the backstory. So she had to make that square. I just thought it was interesting. So if you get a chance, everybody listening, if you have Amazon Prime, it's only kind of worth watching to hear her talk about Mrs. Voorhees. Yeah. And people's reaction to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd like that story, you know, this behind the scenes stories like that. And that's actually kind of interesting how she took the role and everything. And yeah, some of that stuff sounds pretty interesting what she came up with. Maybe they should have let her direct it.
Maybe. Well, you know, and she said that.
It's still great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I mean, and she said that like she'd never understood why people liked the movie. She doesn't get it. She loves it, people like it, but she's not a horror movie person. So she's on these horror movie shows and conventions, and she doesn't know anything about them. I mean, she doesn't know. Yeah. It's just, it is what it is. But she said that the one thing that stuck with her is she was on a radio show in some city somewhere, and someone called in, and she's like, why do you love Mrs. Voorhees? She's like, I love Mrs. Voorhees as a woman. So, okay, why do you love Mrs. Voorhees? Everybody said they love Mrs. Voorhees. All she does is kill people. She's like, well, she's a perfect mother. Not only is she willing to kill for her son, but she's willing to die for him. I'm like, well, yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I never thought of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Anyway, it's called Scream Queen, Betsy Palmer. It is on Amazon. Last up, real quick, Ben Harley. And I've been trying to do this a little bit. I did pop in a new film, a big budget Hollywood deal that people had talked about for a while. I did watch the 2015 film Terminator Genesis.
Okay.
All right. So it's a sci-fi time travel action movie. Well, here's the interesting thing. Made in 2015. Okay. It takes place in October of 2017. Now.
Oh. Now.
Yeah, which was that's gonna
right now.
Yeah.
That is
actually James Cameron loved this movie. He said it was a natural sequel to T2, like after that, to Terminator 2.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, it gets back to Kyle Reese, the Reese character from the first Terminator film.
Sure. Yeah.
And like the John Connor thing. I don't know. Look, my thing is it was a typical modern Hollywood film, but I've seen worse. There was at least an attempt at a complex story because it has a lot to do with that time travel this time. A lot of time travel, butterfly effect type stuff. Basically, it's okay. It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. He's old, and they find a way to make that make sense where the skin over the Terminator is like age because they're made with something with the human skin. I don't know. The thing is that apparently Paramount is putting these out, and they rushed a trilogy to get made because the rights to this series goes back to James Cameron in 2021.
Yeah.
So supposedly that's what they're doing, but I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you're going to watch this movie, you're going to watch it anyway. I did appreciate that they tried to write something a little interesting. I did appreciate that. It's also a little long. Look, Hollywood, an hour and a half is fine. It's fine. You know?
Oh, I know.
I mean, come on. So anyway, because I mean, it wasn't super long. It's just right at 2 hours, but still. It didn't need to be 2 hours. An action film like that gets a little taxing.
Yeah. It's just too much to look at after a while.
Right.
Does that make sense? I mean, it's terrible.
Well, it wasn't like it was wall-to-wall action either. There was a lot of story to it. It's just a lot to intake either way, you know, and it's just, I don't know. It was just a bit much. But anyway, Harley, we're running a little long. What the hell you got here? What do you got? What do you got to give me?
Well, you know, Timo, I have been keeping up on my Batman. Gotham. Not too bad. It's getting better and better all the time. Some of it is pretty weird, though. Like, there's some things that make me kind of go, I'm not so sure about that. But then there's some other things that are like, wow, I really did enjoy that. I think it's just there's a little bit of a stark because it's like I've said before, it's like a cop drama with the Batman character. So you got this real cool, heavy cop drama, and then you have this real cool, heavy, you know, villains, and there's not really any superheroes. It's mostly villains, you know?
Right.
But it's just, it's kind of a mixture of like comic book and LA law, or not LA law, but Law and Order or something, which is cool. But sometimes it's a little weird when something like the Riddler or the Scarecrow appears, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, whoa, wait a second. You know, it's but I have really enjoyed it. I think it's getting better and better. The Riddler right now is pretty broke though. He got unfrozen.
Oh, that's good.
Because he got, but his brain's not working too well. But
poor guy.
So he can't even make his riddles up right now. So I'm upset about that because I like the Riddler. Yeah. But pretty good. And then one other thing, Timo, speaking of Friday the 13th, the other day, I think I texted you on one of the free channels I'm getting right now. Might have been Showtime or whatever, but they were doing a Friday 13th countdown of all the movies. But what was cool is they were going from the latest ones to the older ones. So they actually, for me, got better instead of progressively getting worse.
Right.
They progressively got better.
Right.
Now, I only did catch a little bit of it. Some of them I did tape part 1 and 2. I think I did get 3 also, which I know we just did not too long ago. But yeah, I did get a chance to watch a little bit of Jason Takes Manhattan, which that was when that's when I left the franchise pretty much. I don't know. I've come across a little bit of the ones after that, but I couldn't tell you anything really about them. And I remember seeing Jason Takes Manhattan in the theater and thinking to myself, when is he going to get to Manhattan? You know what I mean? I will say, though, there are a couple parts once he gets to Manhattan that make me chuckle. But you know what? There's a lot of people in New York, and it's so funny. There's like nobody in that. You know what I mean? Like at one point, they do make it to Times Square, but other than that, they're like the only people in the movie.
Right.
It's like the people that showed up on the rowboat or whatever.
Right.
You know? But anyways.
Yeah. It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Yeah.
But you know, the one that's not too bad that I think was right before that, so I guess it would have been Jason 8 or 7. I don't know, but it's the one
with the psychic girl.
Yeah, it's the girl. Yeah, yeah. I've always thought that one was pretty decent.
It's okay. I saw it in a theater. It's
yeah, me too.
A passable time waster. I don't think it's up to a Friday the 13th. Like, oh my goodness, but it's like that's not that bad. I mean,
no, yeah. Let me say, after watching, like I said, progressively better, Tim.
Right.
We're getting better. You know what I mean? Like, so it was like a breath of fresh air after watching part of that Manhattan. But yeah, so that was kind of neat. That was kind of cool. And then also, been watching that show Salem. That's about to wrap up. Pretty good, pretty intense stuff especially for horror type things. There's some intense scenes in there, but yeah, not too bad, Timo. Not a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
But I will be getting back to you because I've taped a bunch of things. So I will be getting back to you on some of that. So.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get to our official little films, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yeah, Timo. I know what we watched.
Oh, well. Let's start off with the 1956 film Man Beast. All right. Now, this was this one we had Mr. Mark Diamond on from the Dwarves. This is one that he mentioned that he really liked. And so I thought, well, let's review this one because I don't think we'd ever reviewed this before. And it is a Bigfoot-y kind of film. Let's see here. Let me get you to a synopsis of Man Beast. Here we go. All right. In search of her missing brother's expedition, Connie Hayward organizes her own trek high into the mysterious Himalayas. Her brother had been searching for signs of the legendary Yeti, the huge, hairy, human-like creature whose existence has baffled scientists for centuries. Joined by friends Hud and Steve and an anthropologist, Professor Hayward, Connie sets out for the site of her brother's disappearance. Along the way, she meets a strange man, Varga, who had been her brother's guide. Soon, members of her own expedition begin to disappear, and the terrified team has the eerie feeling they are being watched. But by who or what? Is it man or beast? Okay, well, yep. Is it man, beast, man, or beast? There we go. All right, so
Man Beast.
Ben Harley, this movie again from 1956, black and white. This happens to be Jerry Warren Presents Man Beast, written, produced, and directed by Jerry Warren on Jerry Warren Film Stock. This movie has something to do with Jerry Warren. He put it out. How about that? All right. And of course, this film was shot on location in the Sierra Himalayas, California. Let's see. A couple things about this. The movie stars Rock Madison. Okay.
Rock Madison.
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is,
that's a good name.
It is, but the problem is that Rock Madison, he doesn't exist or appear in any film anywhere. Except when he starred in Jerry Warren's re-edited Mexican feature, Creature of the Walking Dead in 1965. And even in that film, he still didn't appear or exist. Still. So apparently Jerry Warren made the name up to put on posters. He made the name up because it sounded like a famous person and put him up on posters. Yeah. I like that. I like that. That's something else.
That guy's thinking ahead of time.
Right. Well, and the synopsis is pretty much set up pretty good. It's this gal who I found pretty cute. She didn't look like a normal
Yeah.
1956 gal at all. Like on movies.
No.
She didn't look like that at all, but she had this natural kind of thing, I think. Kind of pudgy cheeks. I like the pudgy cheeks, you know, and stuff like that. So, and she's going and looking for her brother's expedition, and they're like, yeah, possibly accosted by a Yeti. What do you think? The movie's called Man Beast. So, anyway, so there's kind of a setup. What did you think, Harley? What did you think about this?
You know, Tim, I didn't mind this film too much. I thought it was not too bad. Like I said, you know, there is a lot of rock climbing in it.
Oh,
you know,
my
they do
God.
A lot of.
You just want to get straight to that?
Climbing.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? One thing about this film, they were not shy about hiding the Yeti at all. He's right there, full on.
Right.
You know, there's no shadow. Well, there's one part where they're in a cave and he's in a shadow, but other than that, it's full on. You know.
Right.
And I thought they did an okay job with the suit.
Yeah, like the face was kind of obscured. Maybe part of that's like just the grainy films or whatever transfer we were watching. But it seems like the size of it and the way they shot it, menacing people, especially in that cave, it was fairly effective. I mean, I thought, whoa. I mean, out of nowhere, you have like these endless montages of needless rock climbing stuff. Okay. And then there were good moments. And then there were good moments of it. I mean, almost in a capsule, that's really what the movie was. Like a bunch of rock climbing and then some interesting moments coming in. But I don't disagree with you. The size of it was pretty interesting too. At least how they tricked your eye into thinking the size of the Yeti in the film.
And it was kind of like the Yeti was like following them, you know, sort of too, like kind of, you know, like they're trying to track it, but it's more or less tracking them, you know, which I thought was kind of cool too. And, you know, and it would appear like out of a snowbank or something.
Right.
Which I thought was pretty good, you know, and I could see, you know, from the standpoint of if I saw this when I was younger or as a kid, that I might hold this a little bit higher regard, you know. It's a good old black and white film, and plus back then, you know, I'm so interested in just any type of movie about a Yeti or Bigfoot, really. Right. But I think this one would have been interesting enough, and you had a good villain in it who didn't really appear, you know, till towards the end, right? Which I thought was kind of cool too. A little drama. I will have to say at one point, I thought something was up with that guy. He kind of was looking like, you know, the Freeze Meister or whatever, or you know, was that it?
The Heat Miser, those Heat Miser, and the other guy,
And
he was looking a little Rankin Bass.
I was like, something's up with that guy. I don't know. It's his eyebrows, you know, those eyebrow monsters, Timo.
Hey, I'm telling you, I've been turning into one for the last 10 years slowly. I'm sneaking up on everybody. Exactly. Yeah, he did have a little bit of a Rankin Bass kind of. Apparently, like part of the plot is that there's some sort of Yeti human intervention, like hanky-panky going on. There's children that are Yetis and human, like hybrids and things like that.
This guy was a 5th generation or something.
Are they like evolving into humans, or are they trying to push their genes onto Yetis and make them like into superhuman Yeti humans or something like that? You know, this is what's funny. Okay, I don't disagree with you. I have seen this movie before, but it's been a long time, and I don't remember when I'd seen it. But I know I'd seen it. Okay, the reason it didn't leave much of an impression on me was I think the endless montages of the mountain climbing that kind of bothered me a little bit and made me trail off a little bit. But now, Ben Harley, you know that I don't always pay attention to what you're supposed to in a movie. I start looking in the corners of the frame, stuff like that. So all I want to tell you is that these dudes that are climbing around, they needed to take the feathers out of their hats, okay? Because those feathers were going absolutely bananas, absolutely bananas. It made me start talking about the first season of Saturday Night Live when John Belushi and then would do the killer bees, and they had the antenna with the coils on it. And the whole funny thing apart was how the antennas would swing around their heads when they're talking and stuff. And of course, like good 40s and 50s fashion, there's a good old fashioned homoerotic noodly fight at the end. Like toward the end there. Yeah. It's really like uncomfortable. I'm like, get a room. and wrestle in it or do something, you know. And the other thing that I noticed was, and I know this is crazy, but it's like one of the first scenes. There is I'm assuming a Chinese gentleman who's in the film, and he's only a background. Yeah. He's only in the background for a few minutes, but his name is Wong Sing. Okay, now, unfortunately, this was Wong Sing's one and only film appearance. But I gotta sit there. I have to tell you, the first thing that popped in my head when I saw the actor's name Wong Sing was him going into a 1956 reading for this film, audition for this film, and walking in going, Wong Sing! And the asshole stereotypical guy, the casting director said, well, yes, that's fine, but can Wong act? So that was the first thing that popped into my head when I saw it. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, unfortunately, this is Wong Sing's only, it was a chilling performance of a background character, but
chilling performance. He ran though, didn't he? Split on him? Didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
yeah. They split in the middle of the night or something. Man.
Yeah,
those guys.
You know, I'm gonna mild grape ape up. Now, look, it would be a pretty good, solid grape ape up if not for the movie just drags when they're noodling around, and it's like they're editing back and forth like stock footage between like what might be Himalayas to what clearly is California. I mean, and it is California. I was joking even when I said shot on the Sierra Himalayas in California. But the funny thing is I immediately knew that was not, and I looked it up, and indeed it was not. It was in California and stuff. But it's not even that. That stuff I find fun and funny. It's just it wouldn't stop. It just kept going and going and going. The drama of it, the weird Yeti human hybrids, the size of the monsters, and the fact there's like more than one, they're like hiding, trying to ambush him and stuff. And I kind of dug where it was going. It was executed haphazardly at times, but I was appreciating where it was going, you know, basically. And you know, how can we not give a little credence for our good friend, Mr. Mark Diamond, for that being one of his films too. But I got to agree that there is something to this. I would almost want to edit this myself and edit out some of that stuff and watch it and see what I think. But all that being said, I'm going to give it a mild grape ape up. Have some drinks with you, and during the montages of mountain climbing, just have a couple drinks and a few laughs with somebody if you're watching it with them. But that's where I'm going with the Harley. That's what I got. What do you got?
Is that where you're going?
Yeah, that's how I'm going.
Yeah, you know, Tim, I'm going to give it just a same thing, kind of a milder grape ape up. I did like the Yetis, though. Yeah. I really did. I thought the Yetis were kind of cool. They looked cool. They looked almost like something lost in space to me, kind of too, like, you know. But yeah, no, I did like it, and I like the fact that this movie was trying, especially for that time period. Now, yeah, the ending was kind of weird with the Yeti hybrid thing too. Yeah, that was a little bit, I don't know. I mean, that guy, I would have been fine if he was just trying to keep him a secret, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Stuff,
yeah.
But it was just, I don't know, it's just a little odd because he rips open his shirt to reveal like Yeti hair, you know.
He just revealed my chest. That's all he did.
Yeah.
That's why I have to trim it, you know? It's like, come on.
Yeah. So I thought that was a little.
I just thought it was different. I agree with you. It was silly, but part of it I liked was that it was silly, but a little different. And it's like, oh, you're going there with this? Okay, you know, but I could see where you're coming from totally. Yeah. It's definitely a razor thin edge, you know, to fall on one side of that or the other. Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. I think, I could have probably done with a little less of the mountain climbing as well. But, you know, I know a lot of those older films like that. You got to deal with a lot of that stuff to get to the payoff.
Right.
You know, I guess. But yeah, I will say this, they gave a lot more Yeti than I expected.
I agree. Yeah, that's true.
Usually we're always saying, oh man, not enough monster.
Right.
This had it, you know, it did.
And the way it was filmed, like it helped. Whatever shortcomings at that time for the suits and everything, probably was one suit being edited back and forth. But you know, for that time, not too bad. So we're both going to do the mild grape ape up and some nostalgia, some fun, and way too long of montages of mountain climbing and stuff. So, all right, let's get to our next official film, Mr. Ben Harley. Okay, now this is a little different than we do. Not that we haven't done this before, but little different than a normal. Hey, here's a film that is out right now on Amazon. We did get contacted by Flickering Candle Productions, fcpfilms.com. And they produced a Bigfoot film called Taku-He. It's Taku-He. And I do not believe this film is actually out yet. I don't know that for sure. I don't think it's out yet. This was a screener for fellas like ourselves to watch, or ladies, for ourselves to watch, who I guess have podcasts and review films and stuff. So let's see. So they reached out to us. So we said, sure, we'll take a look, but we're going to be honest. But we will definitely take a look at it here. Let's see. Let me give you a little eye roll. I'm not going to do movie guy. Okay, this movie's not out yet. So there's no movie guy with this movie not out yet. So the movie basically is a group of like Tennessee filmmakers who, pretty sure that's what Flickering Candle Productions is. It looks like a troupe. Like Hack Movies was a troupe when I used to do that. So they're scouting locations for a zombie movie. Okay. Yeah. And they are on the property of like a couple of they look like they're trying to look like stereotypical hillbillies. So me calling them hillbillies, I don't think is really, I think that's what we're trying to go for. They're on their property and they're going to let them shoot the zombie movie there. And while they're scouting it, they find evidence of a Bigfoot. Yes. And so they decide, go ahead.
Oh, and the one guy who is the director, I believe, is fascinated with Bigfoot.
Right, exactly. So they decide that instead of doing this zombie movie, that they are going to switch it to making a Bigfoot documentary.
I think, well, you know what? I think they're going to just do it because the zombie one did so well or something. So they were going to go ahead and do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
The setup is not really too important to what, and I mean, I think I caught most of it, but I'm just saying it doesn't, it's sort of just a setup to how they get out there and find it, which, I mean, I guess in fairness that, instead of just people already into Bigfoot, just shooting right out there, they're going to film something else. And it kind of switches over to that. So, so the movie kind of starts off with them setting this all up. And then it kind of goes over to shooting interviews with, I would say, actors who are portraying witnesses. We know this because one of them was Jim O'Rear. And we know Jim.
Yes.
So, he was one of the witnesses. He was kind of funny. He's one of the witnesses. So it kind of goes back and forth between someone a little more humorous like Jim and someone like a little bit more serious. And then you pretty much get him going out into the woods and then Bigfoot accosting. That's a real dry, short way of saying what was going on. Now, what do you want to add here? How do you want to get started on this, Ben Harley?
To my, first off, I was excited and that we got asked to do this film, It's
always nice.
I think it's, exactly, and also I was excited too, because it's nice to see another Bigfoot film.
Right.
And kudos to these guys for doing something like this.
Right.
Now, as far as the movie goes, I did like some of it. I thought some of it was really good, but then some of it I thought just, might have been a little too long. I think this movie could have been about 20 minutes shorter. And I think it would have been a little bit more dramatic, I guess, maybe. I think what he was trying to go for, they were trying to do some of the dramatic stuff with some of these longer scenes of, stuff about the guy, why he got into photography and other things, I think some of that stuff was really good. Some of it was real good. I just think they hung on some of the scenes a little too long, maybe.
Right.
But
it seemed like what they had there is some of the people, like, I'm not going to point anybody. There's a couple people that I found to be not the best actors, at least not consistently delivering things where I thought it was worthy of not saying, wait, do that again, or something like that.
Yeah.
Not that anybody couldn't. I'm just saying that's the way I felt. But here's a couple things. This is my general opinion on it. Now, I don't want to like belittle or the film by saying, oh, they just go out in the woods. Well, it's a killer Bigfoot movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a movie. This is more of a horror film dealing with these people who are going out to do a documentary on Bigfoot. And look, it's not super original. It's happened before, like in films. And I mean, hell, even we did Stalking Bigfoot, which isn't too far off the beaten path from what Taku-He is. But
Sure.
they go out there and they do start getting attacked by Bigfoot. Now, I'm going to kind of like give you a nutshell of what I think about this, because I don't really want to spoil it. I don't want to give anything away per se and things, but I have a feeling that there's a couple things that I would personally have an issue with. If someone asks me my opinion, this is what I'm going to say, and that's why we do the show. So I'm going to say it. But you're not going to please a horror crowd with a film that will please a Bigfoot crowd. You're not going to do a film that's going to please a Bigfoot crowd that's going to please a horror crowd. And we know this, don't we? And why is that? Because the Bigfoot crowd doesn't really appreciate a lot of killer Bigfoot movies. It's a little, I don't want to say it's insulting to them. I just don't think they appreciate it. Not that they hate it. It's just not something they gravitate toward. Let's put it that way. They don't see this animal or whatever it is as a threat. They see it more as a curiosity, and they're fascinated by it. Okay. The horror movie crowd wants to see blood and guts, and they want to see this thing happen.
Killer Bigfoot movie.
Right. So that being said, I think that there is a movie in here. Okay. I think there's a movie in here. My personal opinion watching it and being an editor myself, and every week, I think this movie needs to lose about 20 minutes. And the 20 minutes is the character development. Because to be honest with you, some of the scenes are done fairly well when they're reacting to things. And you can kind of start, especially in the beginning setup, to the time they get to the woods, is interesting because you start learning who these characters are by their reactions to the interview people, to just any little situation they're in. When they start pairing off into a dramatic scene, it almost feels to me as an editor like it's one of those things you're having a hard time letting go of because it was performed well and directed well, according to you. If you were the director also editing it, which I admittedly did not get into the nitty gritty of who did what in this film or nothing. I just wanted to watch it and see what I thought, and then give my honest opinion, which is what I'm doing. But I think if you took that out and if you edited the Bigfoot attacks different, because I'm going to say right now, that suit ain't going to fly. The suit's not going to fly. But on the other hand, and Angie will watch this with me too, and she actually said, I think these are pretty good actors. I think it's going pretty good. We thought that the scene in the tent with the shadow and the silhouette of the Bigfoot was fairly effective. It was just when they had the lighting and everything on like the hands of the suit and where you could see, it didn't need to be there. You could edit that to where it was much more subtle. And some of the shots where the Bigfoot was backlit and a little more obscured.
Those look good.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah, those look good.
They looked really good.
There was one right at the end that was really good.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
And the thing in the tent when that was pretty effective. I mean, they were screaming and the thing was around the tent and stuff. The scene where the guy was up against a tree and he pees himself, like when he gets scared because the Bigfoot comes up. First of all, let me tell you something. That guy right there, that's a good actor. That guy was a good actor. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying nothing against the other people. To me, personally, he stood out as someone who is a natural actor. Let's say that. Like, he was really natural. He felt really good and smooth. Like, that scene could have been either cut out or just really pared down a lot. I guess what I'm saying is the fat needs to be trimmed. To me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is not my piece of art. A little side thing here. The guy with the gray hair and the earrings, he was a dead ringer. Yeah. He was a dead ringer for James Brolin.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell that gentleman,
skinnier brother.
Yeah, I just want to tell that gentleman, congratulations. I would certainly love to be a dead ringer for James Brolin. And he was a pretty good actor too. These people were not They weren't bad actors or anything. It just seems like this movie wants to be more than it needs to be. And here's why. You need to gear this toward the horror crowd. Okay? Sure. The horror crowd ain't going to give a care about the emotional bewilderings of the characters when they're not moving the Bigfoot plot along. They're not going to care.
Right.
And they're going to fall away. They're going to fall away. And it's not going to work. If you tighten this film up, and I do mean 20 minutes at least, cut that stuff out. I think they might have something that people who enjoy independent film and stuff like this might enjoy. As is right now, it's there. There's like pieces of it there. It just needs to be tightened to me. What do you agree with what I'm kind of going with this?
Yeah, Tim. I feel the same way. I think that this movie just a lot of it, and one thing that felt good, I guess, to me, and this is going to sound weird, I guess, but like, I understand that this felt more like real life, I guess, and not acting. You know what I mean? Like there was some acting and stuff, but some of it felt like, hey, we're hanging out with this group of guys who are a movie troupe kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I think at times it was okay. Because it's like sometimes some of the actors in some of these films and stuff are way, way too much over the top, you know? Mm-hmm. But like this, I think I felt like these guys were all friends, which was good. But I think that's what hurt a lot of the scenes that made it go on longer than they should have, or just trimmed up, not even just the scenes, but trimmed up some of the dialogue. Okay, I understand you guys are friends and we're family and stuff, and you're trying to explain to this girl that she's now part of the family, but it was said too many times, right? Too much, but so I think if they would just tighten up some of that stuff, it would have been great. I think it would have made this movie just move faster, maybe, because I tell you what, I give these guys all the credit in the world. They're out there doing this. We did a short little film and we were there, a weekend. This looks like they shot it for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of love and care went into this film. And I think they had the right ideas. I just think they do need to tighten it up a little bit. Trim some of the fat. And, the Bigfoot, there needs just to be a little bit more of it in the shadows, or the backlit stuff looked really good.
Right.
I think there was one scene where that one gentleman got attacked, and there was kind of like a drone shot of going up, and then the monster was like kind of banging on his head, or smashing his head or whatever. That stuff looked intense. It was like, wow, that's really good.
Right.
I think if they just did a little bit more of that stuff, maybe.
Right.
I'm not saying drone stuff, but just more stuff where you don't see the creature so up close. Because like you said, some of the hands, and I noticed the feet were kind of.
I know it's hands and feet mostly. Yeah.
And then there's a couple parts of the back of it that But I mean, come on, I understand that stuff's expensive and things like that. But I think if they just did a couple things like that in some of the scenes, just trim them a little bit, because I think these guys got something here. They really do.
It's not campy enough to show that suit like that. If they're going to show the Bigfoot like that, they need to have something in the woods caliber suit or stomping grounds, which they're not knocking our special effects socks off, but they're not distracting to the point. But this suit was a little distracting, and it's like if you made a really campy film, then I could see that, like a trauma type. This is not a campy movie. It's not campy at all. I mean, there's a little humor in it and stuff like that, but it's not that. And I think the suit almost showing it too much in the lighting and everything, I think is kind of degrading it. And look, here's the thing. In a movie like this, this is a perfect movie for, say, Amazon Prime. If someone's going through Amazon Prime and they're trying to pick out a movie to watch, if you want to watch a film and you see an hour and 40 plus minute independent Bigfoot film, or you see an hour and 20 minute or 15 minute, you're gonna try for the hour and 15 or 20 minute, because it's not gonna take up as much of your time to give it a chance, right? I mean, you're gonna do it, and it's gonna tighten the movie up and speed it up. It needs to be tightened and sped up to the point where I would watch it again if it were sped up and tightened, but only if it's like 20 minutes or something. I mean, because I understand that some of those scenes were performed well, but if you're not pushing forward the Bigfoot hunt you're not pushing the plot forward, and you're over emphasizing things that, and these people are dying anyway. I don't care. It's almost like when they do it with, like when Rob Zombie did it with Michael Myers. Try to give him all his backstory. I don't care. It's creepier not to know everything. And with the people out there, what you need to know is that they're friends, which you can tell, and that they're going out and they're going to shoot this thing. Yeah,
you definitely can.
Yeah, and their reactions to each other are fine. If you want to have a scene where they talk about them being family and stuff, that's fine. But like, the one that sticks out was when the young lady and the lady that was more our age sat down and talked for like 5 minutes. I almost turned it off. And it wasn't they weren't acting good. I just didn't care. I was like, not only did it was turning me off. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, just get back to what you're doing. It just slows everything down. And again, I'm being critical because I'm being honest. But since this thing is being screened, I'm giving my honest opinion, what I think. It's their piece of art. They can do with it. If they think it's great and other people disagree with this, absolutely fine. I do also agree with you that, yes, they got this thing done. Yes, they cared about it. I have mad respect for anybody who goes out there, it puts this thing together, and it doesn't look like a total train wreck. It's not a train wreck. It's a train wreck. It's not totaled. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's a bit of a wreck right now, but it's like a fender bender. And I think that you can take it to Mako. Yeah, you can. I mean, this thing can be tightened up, and I almost would encourage them to tighten this up, but do not. If you want to take it to a Bigfoot show, fine, because there are going to be some people who are interested in the subject. They're not Bigfoot people. They're not researchers who would probably enjoy this as much as anything else. But it is a horror film. It is killing and gutting people in this film, which is cool too. I'm fine with that. I like that. I am not a Bigfoot researcher though, although Mike Hall says I am. Ben Harley. He said I'm a Bigfoot. He said I am. But I'm not an on foot one. How about that? So but I also enjoy horror films a lot. So we already enjoy horror films. So we're going to enjoy something like this a little bit more than, say, Mark DeWorth, who runs the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. I got the immediate from all these people that's like, well, that's fine. That's nice. You know, when you tell them like you did a Bigfoot film where it's killing people, they're like, oh, that's nice. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
You know, but when you make one about the subject, that's when these people love it. So this is what I would, that's my advice. I'm not going to really, you know what? I'm not even going to grape ape up or not this film. I am going to, this is what I think of the film. It's not out yet. They have an opportunity. I don't know what their plans are. We just got a nice, simple email, very friendly. And so I don't know if they're planning on doing any more work to this or this is it. They let it go. I understand that too. We're both artists. We understand when you need to let something go. If that's the way it is, fine. Yeah. And congratulations on getting something put together. It is a movie. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Continuity is pretty good. It makes sense. There is a line there. That's just my advice for it. If we were to watch this film, if it was out on DVD or Blu-ray or streaming, I'd be highly disappointed with it. If it was already out, just because I'd be frustrated by it a little bit. And I've already explained why. Just it's too long, too slow. Cut out the fat, and let those actors shine, and let the story shine. And some of the shots too are cool. They do have the camera work. Yeah. Everything in it has really good positive stuff to it. Just take out the stuff that wasn't positive. And this was our opinion on what wasn't positive. That's my take on it. How about you?
Right. Well, yeah, me too, Tim. I really give these guys all the credit, like I said, you know, for getting out there and doing this type of film. And I think it was shot very well too. I just think, if they tightened it up a little bit and I think it would just make it much more dramatic. But yeah, it's just too long right now for, you know, and then, you know, if they want, maybe, I don't know, they're going to go back and reshoot anything or not, but you know, that monster.
Have to. I think there's just too much there. No. I think if they edited out and just kept the shadowy things and maybe when they did it real quick, you couldn't focus on it, so it's hard to see. But the arms look goofy, like the arms hanging on the side. It looks goofy. It doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Well,
when you can
it
focus
looks
on
like
it.
something from Rankin and Bass too. It's got that.
Right. And hey, look, we ain't got no
But,
good Bigfoot
yeah.
suits, so don't. I'm not. I'm not. I understand it's not easy. We know this. It's not easy.
That's the hardest part, I
Yes.
think, of these films. Yeah.
Yes, and so I would to the filmmakers of this movie and the actors. You may think we're not. To us, it's constructive criticism. We want to see this.
Yeah.
We would like to see it tightened up and everything, and I'd watch it again. If it was, but again, not like 3 minutes. I would probably say no thanks. I mean, I don't need to see it because I know that there is a lot that needs to go for our taste, at least. This is for our taste. So, but congrats for getting the movie done, and thanks a lot actually for reaching out to us. I am very interested to see more stuff they do. Because not unlike our friends Brian Williams and other filmmakers, the movies tend to get better and better as they go. I like to see that progression of films too. And I'm
just glad too they did a Bigfoot movie.
Yeah,
to tell you the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, locations are great. It was, I some of the stuff where it was attacking the house wasn't too bad. Like toward the end and things like that, there were things that were pretty cool, like the action parts with the Bigfoot when they got to the woods. What I would do is I would tighten up the interviews and make very little talk after the interviews between the characters and just make it mostly about when they're finding evidence of Bigfoot, discussing the Bigfoot, and being attacked.
Right.
That's what I would do. Right. And I think if you just kind of kept that in your mind and realize that this is boring people, they don't want to bore people with their movie. Right. No, I mean, I know they don't. I mean, obviously. And when you're really close to a project and you're in love with it, you lose perspective, just like when I do a record or something, or when I'm editing a show.
Sure.
You lose complete perspective. So, my opinion... congrats though on getting all this because there's a movie there. Whether or not they put it out this way, or maybe other people have the same opinion as us and they decide to do something with it. Congrats! A lot of good work there. I'm curious to see what they're going to do next. If you guys do any tinkering to it that's substantial, like I'm talking about, send it back, and at least one of us will take a look at it and report back to everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and if you want to see what these guys are doing again. It is fcpfilms.com, and there's some information on them, and you can check out some trailers and all that. And
they got a few movies that they've done put out. So
sure. So, and we're all eyes and ears for you out here. Maybe our advice: tighten it up a lot, and you're gonna have something that's gonna move faster, and people are gonna have more fun with. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So
me too.
Okay, great. Well, Ben Harley, next week, it's going to be more of a raw kind of show. There's a teaser.
Yeah.
A little raw.
That's right.
A little raw up in the cranium area. A little raw up in the cranium area. How about that? So we're going to be doing that. All right. So let's see. Well, until next week, Ben Harley, when we do the raw cranium type thing, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show. Brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.